rewinders, and retro lovers. If you're looking to make friends who love video games from the high-bit era, the 16-bit era, or just love movies from the 80s and 90s, then this is the stream for you. As well as tonight, we are going to be doing another Streams, Pods, and Gods segment, this time talking about how to talk about what you want to talk about. So let's say a few weeks ago, I did a stream about how to get started, like a practical guide to starting content creation. And so let's say you went through that, you've assessed, okay, what things I'm passionate about, you've assessed your resources, and also what skills you have. So you've done all that, but, and you've picked a topic, you've picked what your mission is. Let's say I'm going to talk about, I really love, we're in sort of October now. I really love Hammer horror movies. Hammer horror movies? I think it's Hammer horror movies. Whatever. I really love those movies. I want to talk about those. But what do I have to say about them? I mean, I like them and all, but what do I have to? I'm sure there's lots of people that talk about them. What can I offer? What approach can I take to stand out from everyone else who talks about the same thing? So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Let's see. And we have Geek Devotion so far and Paul J. Powers in chat. They say, "Oh yeah, we got episodes filmed." Oh good. Hammer horror, scary tool shed movies. No, they're like old horror movies from the late 70s and early 80s, I believe. Like Christopher Lee was a popular person in those movies. I think that's what they're called. Well, you let me know in the comments below if I'm way off and it's called something Rocky Road horror or something. I don't know. Regardless. Okay, so you've taken that inventory. Now you're not sure what approach to take with that thing you really want to talk about. So here's what we're going to do. As an example, I have just sort of anecdotal examples, but while we do this, I'm going to be unboxing. Don't show the address. Don't see where I live. I'm going to be unboxing this item I got from Amazon. If I can figure out where to tear it. Because and you'll see why this applies here in a second once I open it. So the first thing, if you're looking for ways to talk about what you want to talk about, and you're thinking of what's going to connect with other people, well, something that connects with people is your experiences about whatever the topic is. So again, Hammer horror. Grindhouse isn't quite a Geek Devotions, is called Hammer horror, I believe. Google foo that for me. Why don't you? But let's say that's your thing. So what sort of approach you take in talking about that? Let's say you're doing a podcast on it. What are you going to say about them that's specific to you? Well, talk about your experiences with them. What was the first movie you saw? Or if you're going to do that as an episode, when did you first see that movie? What stories do you have? And let's see, I'm pulling the package out. You guys will see it before me. Oh. Show the address to the creepy man holding the show. Oh my gosh, guys. It's upside down. Whoop. So what impact did it make on you? So share personal stories about your experiences with the topic. For me, I'll share about this story. So this is John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. Some of you may have heard this story before as I cut open the cellophane. But I'd been familiar with John Carpenter a little bit. He was, and this is the Shout Factory's Steelbook Blu-ray. Some of you may have, I was familiar with John Carpenter growing up. I had seen The Thing and really liked it. I didn't know him so well as a director, but eventually I decided to, eventually I was just searching him out, seeing what movies were free on Vudu, on the Movies on Us. So I'm backwards, says Paul J. Powers. Nice Spaceballs reference there. And I was looking, and they had Assault on Precinct 13 for free to watch. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And this was the movie that made me think, man, I think I really like John Carpenter as a director, because I loved the approach he took with this movie. It was really interesting. It was slow, and there's a lot to it that I wasn't expecting. And for a 70s movie, I was very impressed with it. I think it is 70s. Let's see here. It came out in, let's see, where's the date? I need a copyright, 1976. And this was his his sort of breakout hit, I'd want to say. So this, again, is Shout Factory's Steelbook. Let's see, we got catch up with chat here. LOL, I'm not a horror genre expert, so I'm gonna trust y'all. Geeked version said that. Let's see, yeah, it's backwards. Let's see. I'd seen a portion of that film. Oh, it's backwards because my camera's flipped. That's right. Okay. I'm looking at what you guys are seeing now, and that looks pretty funny. Okay, let me flip this just for the sake of this unboxing. Oh my gosh. This is high quality production. Maybe you should be like how to talk about the things you want to talk about, like technicals of it. Okay. Let's flip this. Oh my goodness, flip horizontal. Okay, now it should be forward. Okay, so we got Assault on Precinct 13 right here. The back, you get the sort of flip card, which when I got my previous Shout Factory Steelbook, Escape from New York, I thought this thing on the back was sort of stuck on there. It's just this tacky sticker. But no, it's not like a full glue job. It comes off. You just peel it off ever so slightly. So, and then you got back cover. Little dent here, which is kind of annoying. But there's the inside. Gotta smoke. That's a quote from the movie. And we got one disc. And there's commentaries behind the scenes in this. And then here's the full artwork. And this, in case you're not sure, this is an ice cream cone, which is very pertinent to early on in the movie. Sort of is an allusion to what happens in the movie. But so this movie really made me appreciate John Carpenter as a director and made me want to see more and more of his, and got me to the point where I actually wanted to collect his films, especially since Shout Factory just releases these beautiful steelbooks. Where my Escape from New York go? So I know the line's not great, but so now I've started officially my official collection of John Carpenter Shout Factory Steelbook movies. So we got both of those. There's the spines of them both. Look very nice together. So that was my experience growing up. So let's say though you have someone like Dale. Hello, Rugged Warrior, talking about it says there in the screen. You can see that. I don't need to repeat the title. It's right there. And I'm going to flip this back. Oh, actually, no, I'm going to flip this one in case I show it more for my other examples. But Dale, who's sometimes here in the stream, has said how and I should probably play the game a little bit. That's part of this too, playing games, you know. He has said how he really enjoyed Incredible Hulk growing up. So maybe he could talk about, where he was, what age he was when he was growing up, why it was so impactful on him. So pick something. So when you've picked what you're going to talk about, be it movies, be it video games, be it knitting, be it illustration, you can say, okay, where was I when I first got started doing this? How has it impacted my life so far? And just share your personal experiences on the topic. And that's a good way to connect with other people on a personal level that lets you know lets them know you're a person and you have a background, and they can usually find things in that story to connect to. And this turn, I think we're going to actually beat this, except I'll take 1 damage here. So that's the first way. The second way is you can talk about what could make the thing better. So I'll go back to Escape from New York. Let's say I'm reviewing Escape from New York. I chose to. What I'm doing is for my streams, I'm actually streaming my unboxings and doing mini reviews after. And I could say, you know what could make this better? I love the artwork. I love how this is packaged. But in one of the scenes, a crucial bit of information in the transfer of the Blu-ray, for some reason, this readout on a computer screen is blurry and you can't really make out what it says. So if you're unfamiliar with the movie, you don't know what's going on. So that's something that I think could really be improved. Or, man, Assault on Precinct 13, I love it. But the one thing I got to knock on it is the sound effects. It uses like the same tinny bullet sound every single time, and it sounds very stock. And I know it was early on and they had a low budget, but I wish in like a remaster like this they would clean some stuff like that up and make it a little bit more appealing sound design wise. Otherwise though, I really like it. So talk about things you could do to improve the topic. Geek Devotion says, step 1, line out your personal experience that others can connect with. Exactly. That's step 1. Paul, my name is Anakin. I'm a person. What? And you hate sand, I suppose. Geek Devotions, Escape from New York. Isn't that a cheap remake of Escape from LA? No, it's the original. Geek Devotions.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Paul's just being silly. Okay, Geek Devotions. Step 2, your ideas to improve the topic you've chosen to... I love your recaps here, Geek Devotions. Exactly. And let's say another example for improving, let's say you're streaming a game. And what you could do is actually... You could talk about, okay, so let's say it's a game there's a new season out, or it's something that's regularly updated. You could talk about, man, why is this update just didn't really work for me because of these reasons, and actually give an opinion. Actually pick a side, because not everyone will agree with you, but people will both value that, hey, you're someone you're willing to put yourself out there as someone who has some authority on this topic. I think just by virtue of you being willing to put your foot in the ground, and that's not to say you can't change your mind later or say, you know what, I see why in Fortnite they chose to include those dances. I've never played Fortnite. I'm just sort of guessing at that, but we'll go with that. But making an opinion I think people can be sort of, what's the word? They can find that unappealing. But the people that agree with you will find that very appealing, and that, oh yeah, you know what, I feel the same way. I'm glad someone else said it. And if people disagree, they could be like, hopefully respectfully say, you know what, I don't agree with that, and here's why. And maybe you could learn and actually start a conversation. Let's see, Geek Devotion. So what if you kind of dumbfounded on how to improve? For 14 years until Fortnite qualifies. Yeah, exactly, Geek Devotions. Well, okay, if you're dumbfounded for what to improve, another aspect you could do is actually, let's say, man, this is Assault from Precinct 13's perfect movie. And here are the reasons why. I'm going to actually educate you on how this movie was made and what went into making this movie, why it stands out from other movies in that same time area in 1976, and you can actually educate. So that's number 3. You actually educate about the topic you have. For instance, another example is my wife, as many of you know, is very much enjoys knitting. So let's say she wanted to create a YouTube series about knitting. She could educate people. Okay, this is how you purl. This is how you skip one row and do some knitting stitches with beads or something. I don't know. She I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but she's pretty much just like spouting off these things I'm not aware of. But if let's say you can't think of anything to improve, you can talk about, okay, well, this is how you do something. You can educate people. Or going back to my Assault on Precinct 13 example. Wow, they're just right in a line. That's awesome. What you could do is, I could say, okay, you know what? So John Carpenter, this was a shoestring budget, and they only had a few days. I think they had like 30 days to shoot the movie, and not very, very much money. But they're really able to capture sort of... There's a lot of inspirations from Rio Bravo, which is a Howard Hawks movie, if you're familiar with Howard Hawks, and just expanding on, just sort of imparting what knowledge you have to the people viewing. So that's step 3, is education. And people can find that very valuable. I mean, that's one of the reasons I love movie commentaries or behind the scenes, because I love just knowing all this, honestly, probably trivial and useless information, but it's neat for me to know. So if someone's watching you about a given topic or interested, then they're probably going to want to know more about it in that regard. What can I do here? I guess I'll push you guys. And then you'll die. Okay. Finally, let's see. And Geek Devotion says, I see. So step 3 is where you lean into your expertise for teaching purposes, whereas step 2 is using your expertise to discuss possibilities. Very good. Yeah. Man, you are like recap king over here, Geek Devotions. Man, exactly. The final option, and there are probably more ways to tackle an approach of how you talk about what you want to talk about. But the final one I want to say, and this is one I don't think I can really do, but I know people can do it, and it's amazing when they do. It's actually a parody, whatever it is. So let's say you're really into StarCraft, for instance. Why don't you play a game? Let's say you're a streamer and you typically stream StarCraft. Why don't you play a game that's not StarCraft, but act like you're playing StarCraft? Like, let's say you decide to play Age of Empires, but you're talking about the Romans as if they're the Zerg, or you're talking about the Celts as if they're Protoss, or something like that. I guess Rome would probably be, in that example, would be the Protoss because they're more advanced, and the Celts would be the Zerg. Anyway, regardless, I think you know what I mean. Just play into almost be very like, not necessarily come off as stupid, but just you're being a parody of, or be a super StarCraft fan. Like, I can't believe they Zerg rushed me, man, right in my APMs aren't high enough, and just go really nuts. Especially if you have a lot of that expertise to talk with, like the shop talk, you could just really play that up and have a lot of fun. Or in a way, almost you could do MST3K it, like do especially if you're going to do movies, you could do a commentary, but you just make fun of what's going on screen, or make fun of the game you're playing, or make fun of the comic books you're reviewing on your YouTube channel or in your podcast. So, or be a wife who makes fun of her husband. Yes. But so to recap, if you're struggling to figure out, okay, I know I want to talk about this subject. I know I love fishing and I want to talk about it, but I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to stand out from anyone else. Four ideas for how you could stand out is you talk about your experiences, your first experiences with the thing and what you've learned since then. You can talk about how you think it could be improved upon. You could talk about everything you know about it. Educate other people, impart your knowledge to others based on what you know. And lastly, you could parody or make fun of or be silly with whatever the topic is, and just bring a sense of entertainment and humor to other people that are sort of in the know of whatever you're talking about. So those are the 4 things, 4 ways to talk about, of how to talk about what you want to talk about. Really appreciate you watching this. If you found this conversation valuable, I'd love to get your feedback in the comments below. You can also like it, share it on YouTube, or share with a link to the Twitch on social media. Would appreciate that. And until next Monday, this has been Francisco Ruiz of Retro Rewind Podcast and Streams, Pods, and God. We're going to be doing a Q&A after this, where you can ask anything, whether it's as long as it's streaming, podcasting, or God related. And love to have you be a part of those conversations. Join us Monday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/Retro Rewind Pod for that. All right. Have a good one. Bye.